Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Justin M. Bailey here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a not-for-profit YouTuber. I'm a writer. I like to write stories. I love the process of writing stories. I love the process of getting people excited about what I'm excited in. Impossible, yeah, but isn't that what makes it fun? What's not fun is how terrible my breathing is, how terrible my health is. I pushed myself to death for a couple of years, and my body is still physically paying the price for it. But though I am insanely excited about this, where 8 or 9 years ago it used to hurt to tie my shoes, now not only am I chasing around my little, like almost 2-year-old, picking him up a million times a day with no problems, my daughter Sophie must have pulled my neck and my lower back at least 20 times, at least, maybe even 32. So I'm excited that tomorrow we're getting snow in upstate, and I'm going to actually enjoy. It's going to be about a foot of snow. I'm going to get to enjoy, and I mean this, I'm really excited. I'm going to get to just like shovel it. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not going to have to break out the snowblower. I hate snowblowers. I'm going to be able to get to do it, and it feels good because it's like I like physical labor, and I like being physical and very active, and that has been an indulgence I've been denied for quite some time, which is one thing. But also that, even if I just want to talk to a camera, even if I just want to make something to make me feel good, feel productive amongst many other things. Ooh, geez, like I was trying to record the first chapter 1 of my novel, Pinball Hunter D, special and bit. Definitely worth your time. It's it's just hard, man. Like I'm like, my shoulders, my neck, my hips, everything's so tight. And so my breathing just absolutely sucks balls. And yet I wasn't able to do this before. From now on, I want to make sure I make at least one video every 2 weeks. I just like hell or high water. I want to do that. So I thought to myself, well, what could I possibly talk about where I wouldn't have to research? I wouldn't have to come up with an outline. I could just spitball and really break it out there and just talk about it, which is hands down one of the greatest books I have ever read, called Breath. Pretty sure it's Breath. Definitely not Breathe. I don't see an E. By James Nestor. And this book is insanely phenomenal. Now, first of all, one thing. I read this book a year ago, but this past 4 weeks or so, I've been taking it seriously. And I've been seriously working on improving my breathing because guess what? I want to make these videos and I don't want to be stressed and miserable all the time. And Breath talks about that breathing is the most neglected pillar of our health. It is the tent pole. If you don't have good breathing, you just don't have good health, period. And there's a million reasons why we all have the worst breathing, why we are the worst breathers in the animal kingdom. I mean, it makes perfect sense, and yet it's mind-blowing. Where, number one, the reason why we're such terrible breathers is our brains got so insanely huge over the past, what, 500,000 years of evolution? Do you know? I mean, people have only been around for 70,000, but do you know what I mean? I mean, basically this area had to grow, other areas had to shrink, such as our throat and nasal passages. So that is the first strike against us. And two, well, the Industrial Revolution, before, where there was no canned food, no refrigeration, people had to eat difficult to chew foods all the time. Anything from beef jerky to raw vegetables from the garden. Not this easy, soft, chewable processed stuff that inevitably led to our mouths also shrinking and the sinuses around it. It's how many of us have grown up with braces where 300 years ago, nobody had braces. You never see a chimpanzee with bad teeth. Anthropologists never dig up a single skeleton 400 years ago and beyond that did not have perfect teeth. It's because of how our diet has changed, our lack of chewing. And even worse, orthodontists, and I know people growing up where this happened, the first thing the orthodontist does when they put in braces, they remove teeth. So that makes the whole mouth shrink even more. So now we have it where we're supposed to be doing all of our breathing in and out of our nose, our nasal cavities. Everybody's these mouth breathing fucks. Everybody has allergy problems. Everybody has asthma. And there's a list of so many health problems that come mostly from our piss poor breathing. The book talks about how even something as simple, and this actually works where, taking some medical tape and taping your mouth like, semi-shut at night just to force you to breathe in and out your nose as much as possible. Because it's like, not only does the nose have all these filtration systems, this is crazy. There is soft tissue inside the nose that is just as sensitive as the penis tip or the clitoris. And it's so sensitive because it's so connected to all of our regulatory systems that if you're breathing in and out of the mouth, it's just certain functions are not being fired while you breathe. So 2 weeks ago during that South Park video, I mentioned a bunch of books that I thought, might be educational to read in every sense of the word, educational. Give you some more outside perspective of the entire species, as it were. And a month ago, I went to our family physician office, which I always feel kind of like iffy going to. I honestly hate every single time I go there. And I actually have to go an appointment there for myself very soon, even though I'm just going there because there's a place nearby where I can play pinball. Maybe I'll get a sandwich after. But like every time, my wife and I have mutually brought our kids to almost every single doctor's appointment together for the past 7 years, and I usually hate it. I really hate it. And and I get along pretty well with the physician, but I think so at least. He's a very impressive, amazing doctor. He brought my daughter Sophie into the world, which I may have mentioned, among some other things, and I was surprised, man. I did mention, just randomly, back cover, I mentioned this book to the guy, and his face totally lit up, almost like he was just waiting for me to mention a book. And it turns out he was waiting for me to mention a book because after my son was born, I actually was talking to him about how I read The Third Chimpanzee and why I think all these things are interesting because my wife had a cesarean. And I talked about how interesting it was that no other chimp, no other monkey or creature has as much problems giving childbirth as us. Because even like with gorillas, where they're like, I don't know, like 10 times, they're not 10 times the size of us. I'm thinking of Yetis. But I mean, even though they're so much bigger than us, when they give birth, their infants are like half the size of ours. Like they don't have any complications birthing. But I was like, well, considering my poor wife But so I was talking to about him. I said, yeah, it's a really good book, dude. Not really thinking anything of it. If this channel has taught me anything, getting anybody to read anything is quite difficult. Yes, I do sound a little bit catty while saying that, but nothing makes me more Ultron hating the Avengers furious than I barely meet people who like to read. And if they do, it's fucking Twilight Harry Potter cock-sucking bullshit. So there is my nerve right there. But as soon as he said that he read it, I literally went, this is what I said. I said, somebody's actually read a book I've recommended? I could not believe it. And I was so excited, I got somebody to read a book. That I was just like, dude, I'm going to go home and I'm going to reread this book because I don't know. Maybe I'll go to my appointment and he'll tell me again how terrible my health is, even though I'm really fucking trying here, dude. Maybe we can talk about this book, which would be fun. And so I reread this book, and it was just like, it made more of an impact than the first time I read it a year ago. And it was just like, dude, if I ever want to get better, if I ever want to be making videos on the regular, if I ever want to be getting my novel out there and write more, I want to write more novels and more videos and do this forever and ever and ever. I got to get my health up to snuff. And you read this book, it's undeniable. Breath is the tent pole of health. And here's a great example already this month. I can tell you how it's completely working. I am infinitely less stressed. I mean, I've talked about how as wonderful as it is and how lucky I am, mostly, to stay home with the kids. It can be insanely claustrophobic. Well, that feeling of trying to breathe with a claustrophobic pillow on your face has been dramatically relieved. And including this week where my daughter has been on winter break. I mean, like, and it's like, my daughter is some of my favorite company of all time. Few people, old or young, make me laugh my head off than my daughter. I love time with her. And also, it's just very demanding because my daughter has unlimited energy and she doesn't have an off switch and she doesn't understand. I tease her sometimes. I call her face cat. Like, you know how like that cat that's always like trying to do something like, meow, and you're just like, get out of here, you damn face cat. It's like, that's my daughter. She just wants to hang out 24/7, which is kind of the antithesis for me. So even then, when I would be stressed as balls this week. Her November vacation, especially after, it's like she had to be quarantined for COVID, and I was just like, I was breathing in a paper bag or something. I'm feeling great, because every day, at least 3 times a day, I take serious focus on improving my breathing. I spend an hour a day stretching. Now, while doing that, I also breathe. And I totally 100% recommend that. Seriously, this is probably one of the 2 most important books I would recommend everybody read. And there's a million I mean, even if the whole world was hunky-dory, improving your breathing is tantamount. But considering the world we live in right now, where, you know, COVID is pretty much behind us. But I remember saying on that video when I was talking optimistically about COVID that there's always going to be another thing and another. And yeah, Russia is invading Ukraine today. Yeah, dude, it's going to be a while before things get all peaceful, like 100% and hunky-dory again. All the more reason why breathing is tantamount. Your best coping mechanism with anything is, frankly, breathing. So it is definitely worth your time. And I am going to try to make a video every 2 weeks. And actually, 6 months from now, I'm going to make another video about this book, and I will give you an assessment and see how I'm doing. You know, maybe this is the final thing I need to just get me over the finish line, just so I can be functional. You know, I don't need to be in a UFC fighting strength, but if I could just, you know, do a push-up, great. All right, so super excited. I get to shovel snow tomorrow. I'm Justin M. Bailey. Thank you. Bye.